Good evening. My name is Adam Khan. I'm the Rational Investor. Today is Thursday, August 24th. Um, Thought I'd talk about a few things I've been seeing on YouTube. It's kind of funny how I get some ideas from some of the things that people say, and I just think, God, I see it the total opposite, and this guy's a total idiot or just doesn't see it quite the way that it could be looked at. Now, keep in mind, I'm one of those YouTube idiots too. So don't listen to me either. I'm just a guy sharing my opinion. You guys need to make your own decisions about what makes sense, what economic decisions to make, where you think markets are going, so on and so forth. So do your own research as well. There are just some things out there that people talked about. Okay, so let me talk about this one first, and maybe I'll talk about some others. So there's a few people going on and on about this home equity line of credit card, which is the dumbest idea in the world. Well, to be perfectly honest, forgive the pause. There's a stupid pigeon that keeps jumping or laying by the pool area, and I hate when they do that. I get that they're coming to drink water, and in some ways I'm happy to give them some water, but I just don't want them dirtying up the whole area. Anyway, so this home equity line of credit card that a lot of the guys think is like the dumbest thing ever. People are going to lose their houses to a credit card, and so on and so on. First of all, this isn't anything new. There's plenty of home equity lines where they will send somebody a credit card to be able to withdraw on it. Now, that being said, there are two advantages to it. One, it's got a lower interest rate than what you're probably seeing on most credit cards. Now, I haven't looked, so I'm making the numbers up, but I'm guessing I'm pretty close. You're probably looking at somewhere between 10 and 15% interest on the credit card, and you might be able to do just interest only payments on it as well, since it's a home equity line card. On top of that, from the bank's perspective, it's a secured card. That's why they can give the better interest rate. If you have equity in your home and they're using that to secure the damages that could be done if you don't make the payments, well, they're kind of covered on that and allowing them to give a better interest rate. So it is not the dumbest decision in the world. What would be not wise is to run up the credit card and not make your payments because, yeah, you might lose your house. But that doesn't make the idea a bad idea. I mean, it's got a lot of benefits to it. Why wouldn't you take credit cards that you're paying 20, 25, 30% interest on, move it to a home equity line credit card where you're probably closer to 15% and possibly be able to get caught up and pay it off quicker? I get the negative of what people are talking about. Oh, these banks are trying to steal your house. I don't really see it that way. I see them as trying to make a profit. And this is one avenue to be able to do it where they might be able to get 10, 15% return on a loan. And again, then they have security on that credit card where they're not as stressed as just a regular credit card, which is why the rates are higher. If you don't pay, they really have nothing to collect on it other than coming after you and continuing to hit your credit and things of that nature. So this is not a bad credit card. Bad is running up bills and not paying for it, or buying things you can't afford, or things along those lines. But if you're smart financially and you use it the proper way, there's really nothing wrong with this product. So that's one of the things I've seen. The other one is, the a couple of the real gloom and doomers end up being really insulting, especially in the housing market. I am not a realtor. Now, I help with mortgages as well. But my God, not every realtor is just this awful person who's only telling you things to try to sell you a house. Not everybody has the same opinion on the economy. I don't see housing collapsing. There is a lack of inventory, and things are much different this time than the last run up. You don't have the option arm loans. You have people pinned into loans at 2, 3, 4, 5%. I mean, the percentages are staggering. Yeah. I'm gonna ballpark, but I'm pretty close. Something like 80% of the homeowners are under a 5% interest rate, 60% under 4, and 20 or 30 under 3, 20 something. But that's staggering numbers. And what are the markets going to be able to do to get somebody out of a home that has a 30-year fixed at 2 3/4? Uh, Even if the housing market corrects somewhat, if they wanted to move out of that property, their payments are going to go up significantly if they're trying to look at similar type of properties. Have to be a significant downsizing that to have a similar payment. So unless somebody's lost their job and runs into real financial hardship, it's hard for me to see a scenario where like they're going to hold on to that home the best they can. Whereas if you go back to 2006 and 7 and 8, when things started collapsing, there was a large majority of loans that were this option arm that had seasoned and matured into larger payments. So if you were paying a $700 or $800 payment, and now it's seasoned to where it became a fully amortized payment, and now you're looking at 24, 25, 26, $2,700 a month payments versus the 6, 7, 800 you were paying previously. That's a way different scenario of motivation as to why somebody would hold on or get out of a house. They had a bit of a payment shock when it seasoned and the house was worth less. All of a sudden, you're sitting on this property that's worth a lot less money, making larger payments, and you can get out of it and move into something nicer for less. Much different than you can't get your payments lower. I think people are going to do everything they can to hold on to the properties they have, which is why you're not going to see a lot of inventory coming. The other piece to that is with higher interest rates, builders would have to pay more to build more properties. So you see a bit of a slowdown in the new properties being built because they don't want to borrow at these rates unless they have a secured purchaser buying the house. Last time, new builders were just putting up homes for the buyers coming in. At least here in Las Vegas, that's not what you see. Until they have an earnest money deposit and a commitment to buy, they don't start building, and you're usually waiting 8 or 9 months for that property to be built. Sure, they have some fallout, but when they have the fallout, then they do those incentives and offer those deals that everybody goes on and on about. And then let's talk about that crazy deal because they're so panicked where they offer lower interest rates. I looked into building a home, and from what I saw, there's about 25 to 35% margins in selling a property if you built it up from scratch. Maybe it's less. I didn't follow through with it, but it's pretty significant. So if I'm looking at a home that I spent $300,000 on that I can list and try to sell for 400,000, why wouldn't I lower offer a really low interest rate and take the loss on the mortgage? Maybe I lose $10,000 on that mortgage, but I just made $100,000 on the sale of the property. Don't you think I'd be happy to give up about $10,000 to give a better interest rate on a mortgage to get my home sold where I have $100,000 of margin set in there? The overall profit's still really good, and that's really attractive to a potential buyer that they're getting an under market interest rate right now. So I don't think these offers are so crazy or out of desperation. I think they're just well thought out marketing strategies for the markets that we're in. I really don't see a lot of it the same way. Also, credit card debt higher than ever. Well, we have some inflation. I think we're all aware of it. So let's say the average grocery bill is $40. This is a made up number. And you have inflation, and now that goes to $70. If people are charging that on their credit card, wouldn't you expect the credit card debt to be higher than what it used to be? That doesn't mean it's some major problem. It just means things have gotten more expensive, so the amount of dollars being charged on a credit card is higher. We also still have about $5 trillion of cash on the sidelines waiting for this big collapse to come. I don't find that collapses generally come around when people are waiting for it because that's a lot of support on the way down. I also think if you see interest rates get back into, geez, I don't even think we need to get in the fives. I think if they're in the mid to low sixes, you see some demand and people wanting to buy homes. The demand is there. It's just the supply isn't. So the prices seem to be going higher because there's just not a lot of inventory. And it's really hard for me to see where it comes from on a level that's impactful. I agree, there could be some investors who bought later in the game that the rents aren't quite what they expected, so maybe they end up listing their home. But to be fair, though, they're usually pretty well financed, and it's not going to be this huge majority of people. It's going to be some natural selling, nothing outrageous. So anyway, one in particular, I highly doubt you watch this, but if you do, I really hope you recognize how rude you are. Um, you can get your data points across without trying to insult people. I got to tell you, you know who I really like, and I constantly disagree with him, Michael Bordenaro, and I hope I pronounced it well. He does some great videos. I really like what he shares. I don't always agree with his perspective, but he's got some good information. And he's super respectful about it. It's his opinion, and he shares it, and he believes it. But he doesn't sit there insulting people by trying to get that across. Anyway, my video seems to be doing weird stuff going in and out. I'm not touching it, so I'm not real sure why it's doing that. So I'm going to call it a night. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and have a great time.